Right now, somewhere in Japan, a 98-year-old is about to get down onto the floor, sit there comfortably, and stand back up again. No using her hands, no grabbing the coffee table, and no bracing against the wall. If you tried that today, right now, could you? Losing the ability to perform that one unhurried transition, a movement most Americans over 50 have quietly lost without noticing, is a more accurate predictor of early mortality than standard cholesterol metrics. Japan has more people living past 100 than anywhere else on Earth, and it is not by a small margin. When you look past the headlines about genetics and green tea, you find their world-leading longevity is built on preserving foundational daily movements that Western populations unknowingly surrender. Forget the standard image of walking for exercise. We have been trained to picture power walking with earbuds in, watching a fitness tracker tick toward a calorie goal, equating health with high heart rates and sweat. For decades, Western medicine dismissed the slow, gentle movements practiced by Japanese elders as too basic to matter, or too old-fashioned to warrant serious study. Modern fitness culture prioritized punishing cardiovascular endurance. We pushed our bodies to the limit while entirely neglecting the basic joint mobility and balance required for long-term independence. Constant high-intensity training can distract us from the slow, deliberate mechanical maintenance the human body requires to function well for a century. Every morning at 6:30 a.m., a familiar piano melody plays across national radio in Japan. It is a cue for millions of people to move together, in the same rhythm, all across the country. This is Radio Taiso, a set of 13 gentle stretches, first broadcast in 1928, and passed down through generations without needing a rebrand. There is no sweating, no holding a plank until your arms shake, and no complex choreography. It is simply continuous movement, arm circles, side stretches, and gentle forward bends, flowing smoothly from one to the next without pausing. This animation shows a joint's cross-section. As it glides through a gentle range of motion, synovial fluid, the body's natural lubrication, flows into the space. When daily mobility stops, that lubrication dries up and the joint surfaces grind. The entire Radio Taiso sequence takes 3 minutes and 15 seconds. It requires zero equipment and is done right at the desk in busy offices or barefoot in kitchens, making it a frictionless daily habit. This routine keeps the mechanical components continuously lubricated, proving that long-term health is about consistent movement rather than abstain intensity. Another daily practice is Sampo, a quiet, deliberate form of walking practiced by Japanese elders every morning at exactly half their normal pace. There is no destination to reach. Instead, the slow walk is paired with a specific respiratory rhythm, inhaling for 2 steps, holding for 2 steps, and exhaling for 4. Walking this slowly forces the foot to engage with the ground differently. Each step rolls deliberately from heel to toe. This deliberate rolling action activates dozens of tiny, dormant microjoints packed into the foot, joints that normal, rapid walking simply bypasses. As those microjoints activate, they fire fresh neurological signals directly up the leg, terminating right in the balance centers of the brain. The deterioration of these exact pathways causes the balance system to fail in older adults, often ending in a sudden, catastrophic fall. Every deliberate step functions as a targeted neurological maintenance program, preserving physical independence through consistent sensory input. This quiet intention stands in direct contrast to the frantic, destination-driven movement typical of modern Western commuters. Slowing your physical pace and sinking to a deliberate breath acts as a manual override switch, lowering the heart rate and signaling the nervous system to relax. This transition out of a chronic, low-grade, on-alert state allows the body to prioritize restorative functions that are usually suppressed during the stress of a typical day. By consistently reducing vascular tension and clearing stress hormones, these practitioners show a documented drop in arterial stiffness and a significant improvement in mental clarity. Lasting capability depends on actively disarming the body's internal stress response every single day. You can start this practice today. Carve out just 10 minutes to walk barefoot or on natural grass and dirt. Natural, uneven terrain forces the small stabilizing muscles in your feet and ankles to fire, the exact muscles that flat concrete pavements allow to atrophy entirely. Leave behind the earbuds, the fitness apps, and the step counts. Focus entirely on the slow rolling movement of your foot. Building a more capable life begins with the floor test and a commitment to walking slowly all over again. Walk through a park in Tokyo on any given afternoon, and you'll see something that genuinely surprises most Western visitors. Elderly men and women in their 70s or 80s resting comfortably in a full, deep squat, heels flat on the ground, back straight, quietly tending to a bonsai tree or chatting with a neighbor. Try it yourself right now if you're able. See if you can drop into that exact position. Most adults over 50 in Western countries can't hold it for more than a few seconds. Almost immediately, your heels will lift off the floor, your lower back will start to round, or your knees will begin to protest. People tend to assume this is just an inevitable symptom of old age, or a simple lack of flexibility. It isn't either of those things. It is a habit we lost the moment chairs became the default resting position generations ago. Our environment engineered the movement right out of our bodies. The loss of these basic, unconscious resting postures serves as an early signal of structural decline, often appearing long before the more obvious limitations of later life. In Japan, squatting was never treated as an exercise to schedule and check off a list. It is simply how people rest, eat, and wait, dozens of times a day for an entire lifetime. Looking at this model, you can see exactly why that matters. A deep squat opens the hips through their full natural range of motion. It engages the pelvic floor in a way that supports bladder control later in life, and it gently decompresses the spine after a long day of sitting or standing. As we look further down the kinetic chain, the posture also forces the ankles to remain fully mobile. Researchers consistently find that this specific hip and ankle range of motion is strongly tied to how independently older adults can dress themselves, walk, and get around. If your heels lift off the ground when you try this, start near a wall or a sturdy chair you can hold onto for balance. You can place a small rolled towel or a wedge underneath your heels for support. That is completely normal and expected. Hold the position for 20 to 30 seconds at a time. The easiest way to build the habit is to do it while you are distracted by something else, like folding laundry on the floor. That relentless, unremarkable repetition rebuilds the lower body's kinetic chain entirely on its own, with no gym required. Our second marker sounds almost too basic to matter: standing on one leg. In Japan, seniors treat a daily 1-minute balance practice with the same mundane meaning as taking a short walk or brushing their teeth. It isn't basic at all. When you balance on one leg, your body is making constant and visible micro-adjustments every second. You engage your core, your ankles, your hips, and the balance system in your inner ear, all at once, forcing your brain to actively process and correct in real time. This chart shows the results of a widely cited study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine. They found that adults over 50 who couldn't balance on one leg for just 10 seconds had a notably higher risk of death over the following years. That stark gap indicates your sense of balance reveals how your systems are holding up overall. It tracks a level of physical decline that many standard metrics checked by a doctor might easily miss. To start testing this safely, stand near a countertop you can reach out and touch. Lift one foot just an inch and pick a fixed point to focus your eyes on. Breathe normally and aim for 20 to 30 seconds per leg. Once that feels easy, you can increase the difficulty. Try it with your eyes closed to remove visual feedback, or stand on a folded towel to challenge your ankle stabilizers even further. Treating balance as a daily practice forces your brain and nervous system to adapt together, actively linking your cognitive and physical longevity in real time. The third marker is the transition from the floor to standing. In Japan, sitting on the floor is daily life. Meals, watching television, visiting a family, it all commonly happens at floor level, meaning people get up and down dozens of times an ordinary day without a second thought. Photographs from a century ago show this same interaction with the floor, reflecting an unbroken historical continuum of how the human body moved within its environment. Rising from the floor without using your hands is highly complex. It demands an immediate symphony of core stability, spatial awareness, and motor planning, all working together at once. Because of that complexity, functional aging researchers use this specific handless transition as a clear, everyday diagnostic test. It reliably correlates with higher lower body strength and total mobility scores in older adults. You can build up to this gradually. Lower yourself into a kneeling position, using a chair or a low stool for support, and then practice rising back up exactly the same way, using your hands at first if you need to. Practicing this on a carpet or a yoga mat reduces the stress on your knees while you build confidence. Doing just 2 or 3 transitions a day is enough to start seeing a difference. Making the floor a daily destination maintains the complex motor control and strength required to avoid a sudden loss of physical independence. We tend to obsess over scheduled, formal workouts in the West, treating mobility as a dedicated task to complete. In Japan, it is maintained through unremarkable, relentless daily repetition. True physical independence isn't built in a gym. It is maintained by an environment that naturally demands baseline movement just to exist within it. And the medical consensus is genuinely encouraging here. Functional aging is highly plastic. These abilities respond to practice, and the door does not close permanently just because you pass age 50. Stop treating these 3 movements as formal fitness tests. Sneak them into your existing day. Squat while you fold the laundry, or stand on one leg while you brush your teeth. Deliberately reclaiming these lost postures shifts the underlying mechanics of how your body ages, preserving the functional freedom that defines long-term health. So, what if the secret to lifelong mobility takes just 2 minutes? It's a question that completely challenges a massive assumption we all tend to make. We kind of just assume that aging means an inevitable, steep physical decline, right? And we assume the only way to fight it is by enduring these exhausting, sweaty, hour-long workouts at some crowded gym. But the sources we're diving into today completely flip that narrative on its head. It turns out, preserving your physical independence doesn't actually require a heavy, punishing fitness regimen at all. The real issue here isn't a lack of intense exercise. Our source material points out a really stark contrast. We're basically trading our natural human movement for comfortable shortcuts. The real culprit? A chair-bound, screen-filled, convenience-driven modern life. Every single time we choose convenience over a simple physical task, like driving instead of walking, or just sitting for hours on end, our modern lifestyle is quietly stripping away our natural mobility. We aren't necessarily losing our ability to move because of our age. We're losing it because of modern convenience. But there is an antidote, and it's beautifully simple. Enter a totally fascinating daily habit from Japan known as tenugi hibiki, a daily towel twisting ritual. Over in Japan, so many older adults credit this exact super unassuming practice with keeping them genuinely coordinated, strong, and mobile well into their 80s and 90s. It has this absolutely outsized reputation among the people who actually practice it. And honestly, the best part is just how seamlessly it integrates into everyday life. It relies on a common household item, not some expensive, specialized gear. Section 1. Mastering the towel twist basics. Alright, let's get right into the core mechanics of this incredibly simple movement. You require absolutely no gym equipment, no dumbbells, no resistance bands. All you need is an ordinary bath towel that's probably already hanging in your bathroom. We're going to walk through these 3 foundational steps like a clinical physical therapy session, so stick with me here. First, hold that towel at shoulder height with both hands. Your hands should be spaced just a little wider than shoulder width apart. This ensures you get a full range of motion. Step 2, pull outward gently, keeping your spine nice and straight and your chest open. Keep your breathing steady too, inhaling as you prep and exhaling as you move. Finally, step 3, slowly twist your torso to one side while keeping your hips locked and facing straight forward. You have to actively resist the urge to let your lower body turn with your shoulders. It looks deceptively simple, but isolating that upper body rotation, that is exactly where the magic happens. Now, here is the absolute crucial point. You need to hold the towel as if you're trying to tear it apart. You're pulling outward gently without actually letting the towel slacken at any point. You must keep that tension the entire time you twist, holding that rotated position for a full 3 seconds on each side. As you do this, you should feel the stretch deeply through your midsection. It's simultaneously activating your shoulders, your lats, and your core muscles. Then you just slowly return to the center and twist to the other side. Maintaining the steady, sustained tension on the towel throughout the whole movement is what transforms this from just a basic stretch into full structural engagement. Section 2. Why sustained tension works. So we need to shift to the underlying science here because our source material proves this isn't just some random lazy stretch. It is a highly effective, neurologically engaging practice. Typical linear workouts, they honestly completely miss the mark when it comes to long-term mobility. Think about exercises like basic squats or bicep curls. They focus on the big, obvious muscle groups moving in a single plane of motion, usually just up and down. But rotational movements, like this towel twist, activate the deep stabilizer muscles, running along your spine and deep down within your core. These are the absolutely crucial muscles that keep you upright, balanced, and safe from falls, and they almost never get engaged during a standard linear workout. But wait, it's not just about the muscles. Rotational movements profoundly engage your brain too, because this movement requires both sides of your body to coordinate and work together rather than just moving independently. It actually forces both hemispheres of your brain to communicate. The sources highlight that this actively improves your overall coordination and your reaction time. And for aging adults, reaction time is absolutely vital. If you trip or lose your balance, it is that split-second neural communication that allows you to catch yourself and prevent a serious fall. Section 3, Morning Routine Guide. Let's look at how easily you can integrate this into daily life, completely taking the dread out of that usual willpower contest where you try to convince yourself to do an hour of cardio. The source material recommends this brilliant concept called bookending. Basically, you practice the 2-minute towel twist first thing in the morning to energize and activate your body. Physiologically, this light morning tension wakes up your central nervous system and gets blood flowing to those stiff joints, setting a strong, aligned posture for the day ahead. Then you just go about your real life. Finally, you do it again right before bed. Done at night, this exact same physical movement serves a completely different physiological purpose. It releases the spinal tension you've accumulated from sitting or standing all day, helping your body settle into a calming, restorative state before sleep. 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes at night. No noise, just quiet consistency. Section 4, Senior Mobility Tips and Safe Practice. Now, if you're dealing with past injuries, balance issues, joint pain, or hey, if you simply haven't moved much in years, we're going to set up some essential safety guardrails right now based on the source text. Always practice near a wall, a countertop, or a really sturdy chair. A wall is significantly better than open space for beginners because it provides this immediate, unmoving anchor if you suddenly feel dizzy or off balance. Start with standing movements, just like the towel twist, before ever attempting transitions to the floor that ask a whole lot of your hips and knees. Use cushions for support for as long as you need, and crucially, you have got to know the difference between normal stretching discomfort and sharp pain. A mild pulling discomfort, that just means your muscles are working. A sharp, sudden pain, that means you're risking injury and you need to stop immediately. And above all, if you have specific health concerns, consult a doctor or physical therapist. Remember, there's absolutely no timeline you're racing against here. The source material offers this really vital piece of perspective, and I love this. You're not behind, you're just getting started. That is genuinely where this approach works best. These movements were not designed for elite athletes trying to achieve perfect form in some fitness photo shoot. They were designed for everyday people living everyday lives. Everyday consistency is infinitely more important than perfect form. Showing up and just trying is exactly what builds long-term capability. Section 5. Start small, start today. We're going to wrap up this explainer by focusing on the incredible power of making just one tiny choice today that builds lasting consistency for your future. This entire concept represents a fundamental shift in how we approach our bodies. Instead of engaging in this frustrating uphill battle against the aging process, we're talking about moving with it intelligently. We're talking about a return to natural human movement. No heavy sweat, no exhausting willpower contests, just purposeful, repeatable action. Because there is a massive future payoff here. Showing up for just 2 minutes today, and then again tomorrow, quietly ripples outward into much better balance and even sharper thinking over the months and years. It builds real, lasting independence. We're talking about the kind of independence that lets you easily get up off your own kitchen floor without even a second thought, decades from now. That is the true goal of lifelong mobility. So, aging well isn't something we are meant to simply endure. It's something we actually get to actively practice. I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to really think about. Which of these small, deliberate movements will you choose to start tonight? Will you grab a simple bath towel and try the twist right before bed? Think about how that tiny 2-minute investment today might completely change your mobility tomorrow. Let us know in the comments how you're taking that first step toward lifelong independence today.